Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the original Loretta Brown Show, radio to open the heart, heal the soul, and awaken the consciousness. Oh my goodness. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year! Woo! Right?
2022. And listen here, 2023.
Yeah.
I'm reading the small print.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, you better listen to us.
Here we come.
Right? Well said.
Yeah. Did you have a great New Year's?
We did.
Jenny?
It's
Yeah.
kind of funny. My girlfriend and I, we kind of went out for an earlier dinner, wanted to kind of, beat the rush on everywhere else.
Yeah,
We
sure.
got to the right end of it. And as soon as we got home, sat there for like an hour and out like a light.
Well, I was laughing. I stayed home and
Yeah.
did the wonderful. Gee, I wonder which bathrobe I'm going to wear to
Oh,
the.
those are the hardest decisions, aren't they?
And then I took a couple of snaps of the Space Needle off of my TV and posted them, and people went, "Oh, did you go out?" And I'm like, "Are you kidding?" Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, I was real glad to just sort of say goodbye to 2022, and I'm very hopeful for 2023. Very hopeful.
Me
So
too. Me as
yeah,
well. I know a lot
yeah,
of people, for those who are listening to your show, are not from the Seattle area. We have a
yeah.
big, firework display here at the Seattle in Space Needle, and it was gorgeous. We saw it too. Actually, that was what I was getting at. We actually woke back up at 11:30, so we were great. We timed it just right, and then at like 12:03, we're like, we're back out.
Yeah, it was a really fun display. It was a little
Mhm.
foggy, but I could feel the festivities this year.
Yeah,
I think people just want to get back out. It's like,
yeah,
let's get out there and live, people. It's time to roll our sleeves up and be with other people.
that
Yeah,
right. Got that right.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, I have a very wonderful, unusual guest. I'm going to give a little check-in with everything, and then I'll bring him on. But I am Loretta Brown. I'm the owner of Reiki Oasis, located right here in the greater Seattle area. For the last 28 years, I'm still around. You can find me at ReikiOasis.com. And we always have stuff coming up, and you can sign up for everything at schedule.ReikiOasis.com. And as I said, welcome 2023. This is a year of big cosmic shifts, significant changes in the energy grid of our planet, and the following themes. So listen to some of the things: completion and closure, feeling ready to start something new or begin a new chapter, bold decisions. It's time to own your sense of self in your relationships. It's time for independence, to be who you want to be and to reconnect with yourself through seeking and asking questions. It is a year of introspection. It's time to start to look inside so that you can line up with what we call the greater truth on the planet. Remember that everything that you hear, just because someone says it or you think it, doesn't mean it's true. So this year, three major planets are moving, which is creating a dynamic energy. So I'm just going to kind of sketch a little thing in, and then I'm going to bring on my guest. We have three planets: Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter. Big planets. Pluto's moving from Capricorn into Aquarius. And Pluto's the planet of death and rebirth and spends 20 years in each zodiac sign. Pluto moving into Aquarius represents a monumental shift that is paving the way for generations to come. And so this is a big one. Saturn, the planet of karma, is moving out of Aquarius, and then it will move back in, right? It's moving out of the Aquarius, where it's been for two and a half years, into Pisces to help bring us down to reality and fuel creative ideas and dreams. Jupiter spends about 12 months in each sign, is moving from Aries to Taurus about halfway through this year. Right now, we start the year with Jupiter in Aries, and this is bringing a strong wave of entrepreneurial, innovative energy. And when Jupiter moves to Taurus, you're going to be able to bring that stuff to Earth. This is a number 7 year, which is a year that brings us into spiritual thinking. And like I said, it's going to align us with our higher selves, our higher paths, and higher truths. And then on January 6th, just a couple of days away, In fact, it's Friday, January 6th. We had a big full moon in this intuitive sign of Cancer. And when Cancer is strong, it reminds us of our bravery, our loyalty, and our willingness to protect those that we love. And because this moon is activated between Mars and Mercury, you might feel a little foggy, stuck, or confused. Remember, Mercury and Mars are both retrograde right now. It is not actually the best time to sign contracts, but it is a good time to review things. What are some of the things that have come up? What is really real and what is not? And what really matters to you? If you don't feel right about anything, ask questions before you proceed. And this retrograde energy is just simply saying, you know what? It's okay not to know everything about everything right now. Take a couple of long, slow, deep breaths and allow the uncovering of hidden truths that may be buried within you. So it's a wonderful time to reflect, a wonderful time to reconnect, and a fantastic time for me to bring my guest onto the show. So get ready to expand, because my guest today is Ishmael Perez, a real life starman, the author of Our Cosmic Origin, Open Your Eyes about Earth's place in the multiverse, and about a greater organization of the cosmos. This is an amazing book that combines science, philosophy, and spirituality, and maybe a little quantum science in there, right? To connect us with the real cosmic origins of our planet and our ancestry, ourselves. Ishmael claims to be an awakened star seed, an ambassador to the Interdimensional Alliance, and works for the Emerald Order, who is a group who helped oversee the development of the Earth. Ishmael is a very popular speaker and presenter. He's been on a multitude, a plethora of podcasts and radio shows where his information is greatly sought after. I've actually met this Superman in person. He is everything he says he is, and then more. Ishmael, welcome to my show. It's a pleasure to have you.
Loretta, thank you so much for that introduction. I appreciate it. And thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, I feel like you rode in on a cosmic wave, right? Do you surf by any chance?
I do not, but there's times where I do feel like I did come to this earth on a spaceship when I was a little baby, and my parents just hid that from me. Not to correlate with the story of Superman, but I do feel, different. I've always felt different. So I do feel like that sometimes.
That's funny. I have kind of a standing joke that yeah, I was on a spaceship and we stopped here for a rest, and then they just left me here because they went, quick, leave. Right. It's just my standing joke. Anyway, I know that some of my audience will be familiar with you and many of them will not. So let's talk about you for a moment, and then we're going to blow their minds. Okay. That sound good? All right.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about who you are and your history on planet Earth.
Sure.
And then your starseed origin. Yeah.
Right. So my name is Ishmael Perez. I am the author of the #1 bestseller, Our Cosmic Origin, a book that reveals the ancient metaphysical knowledge as it ties into cutting quantum research regarding the truth about our reality. It also reveals galactic and cosmic information in history, something that the Earthlings have not had access to for thousands and thousands of years since the decline of Atlantis. A little bit about myself. I was born into a big family. As far as I could recall, I was an awakened starseed at a very early age. I do remember having telepathy with animals, reading minds as a kid, as a 4 and 5 year old, and to my cousins and siblings, that was actually abnormal. So I kept it to myself. I do remember also exploring a little bit of telekinesis at the age of 5, but I had a very uncomfortable encounter when my grandmother walked in and said that I was possessed by a spirit, called the local priest. They started throwing holy water on me, saying, thinking that there was a demon inside me, but that wasn't the case, So I had a very strong religious upbringing. As a result of that, I was forced to go to church every Sunday from the age of 5 to the age of 15. I was serve as an altar boy. And then every Wednesday, my grandmother would take me to go pray the rosary for 2 hours a day, making me kneel for 2 hours as a kid. And so I was brutally, you could say, beaten by organized religion. And so as a kid, I was forced to shut down my abilities and my inner knowing of things because of my strong religious upbringing. It wasn't, however, until the age of 16, where I started researching heavy topics such as Plato's Republic, philosophy. I explored a little bit of metaphysics at the age of 16. And then that's when I realized that I had a gift for information and that I was addicted to knowledge. And it wasn't until I was about 19 years old where I started practicing this ancient method called Kriya Kundalini Yoga, where I began to access, information beyond this realm and beyond this earth. And that's when I realized that I wasn't from this earth. However, my entire upbringing, I knew that I was different, but I also felt that I was alone. I felt that there was millions upon millions of other souls like me that have also, incarnated in the earth from higher dimensions. And so I knew that one day we would all meet. And this is what's happening, thanks to the, internet. We are all connecting now as a family of light worldwide. And ever since then, I've been kind of like on this unending journey on just trying to figure out the way everything works. My information is really deep. I was able to connect the dots, not only regarding the war between the white hats and the dark hats, but also between the galactic civilizations. I was able to uncover the different galactic specimens and the galactic wars that have been going on for millions of years. And then ultimately I came to discover that we are really just fighting artificial intelligence at a very high level of reality, including beyond our galaxy. I came to discover that this multiverse war is really not against the negative Orion groups, but against artificial intelligence. And when I came to discover that, I said to myself, wow, people of the earth need to know what we're really dealing with. We're dealing with a very advanced, ancient, intelligent machine that decided to go rogue in a prior creation and has been, infiltrating universes for billions of years. And then that's why we're here.
All right. You said so much right there that I know people's heads are on fire. Like, what did he just say? Right. So I want to remind people that Ishmael has a wonderful book out, and then I'm going to come back and kind of dissect through some of the stuff you said. Your book is Our Cosmic Origin, and I understand you have a new edition coming out now.
Well, it came out 2 days ago. It's available
2 days ago.
Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually it's a re-edited version, remodified, so it reads more clearly and concise. And I also added an additional chapter that kind of segues into the future war against artificial intelligence. So it's the additional chapter is very prophetic, and it also segues into volume 2, which I'm currently working on right now.
Okay. So, many people, when we talk about how old is the earth, right? How old is the earth? Some people are like, well, it's 5,000 or 6,000 years old. Some people are like, well, maybe it's 10,000 years old, right? And I was always one of those girls like, well, actually like you, where I'm like, I'm not from this place. Like, I don't know where I'm from, but it's not here, right? But there's even articles that I always read where they would have archaeologists find, like in Australia, some big, thing of dinosaur bones that was like, 5 million years old or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. And so when we talk about our cosmic origins, how far back are we talking, Ishmael?
Well, we have to understand that just like how humans reincarnate, so do planets, so do stars, so do galaxies and universes. Everything is a living conscious. We live in a conscious universe where everything is alive, from elements to planets to atoms to, galaxies, so on and so forth. And so the biggest organism that we exist in is our universe. And so with that have said, we could say that the original Earth was came from Lyra. You know, the current Earth that we're in right now, it's the third reincarnation of two prior Earths that were actually destroyed in one of the many galactic wars against the Orion Empire. And so the original Earth goes back to about 4 billion years ago, which originated in the constellation of Lyra, in the star system of Vega, in the sector of Sirius B. And technically, that's where the origin, the cradle of all human civilization sprung from, you know, from the first Earth, which was known as planet Avion. And I'm talking about Earth back then as the eighth dimensional Earth. It wasn't a third dimensional Earth as we see it today. It was more of a higher density, higher reality, where the original human inhabitants were multidimensional beings and had developed a very high level of consciousness, and were because of that, they were able to infuse their consciousness in a symbiotic fashion with the elements, with the nature of planet Avion, which was the original Earth. And in so doing, they were able to develop the most beautiful architectural structures using, you know, natural elements, because they had no external technology. External technology actually was introduced by the Orions, the people of Orion, who were very, very, very dense, you know, very materialistic. And so the original race was very advanced. It was immortal. And the original Earth was also immortal in a sense where it existed in a higher dimension. And due to this interdimensional warfare against artificial intelligence, the original Earth, known as Avion, was actually blown up. And then it fell into density. It fell into density, and it reincarnated as Tiamat. And Tiamat was the Earth that our solar system picked up here in the system of the Pleiades, because we are part of a local cluster of stars known as the Pleiades, with the central sun being Alcyon. And that explains the 12 houses of the zodiac. Our solar system revolves around Alcyon in a period of 25,600 years, and that is known as the Platonic year, which is one full revolution of those 12 houses, of the 12 constellations. And so the second Earth was Tiamat, and it was about 4 times the size of this Earth. And then, unfortunately, again, due to the Orion infiltration of the negative ETs from Orion, it was also destroyed in one of the many galactic wars that, again, have been going on for millions of years. And so the current Earth is now the Earth that we're on. So this is the Earth's final incarnation before her ascension. So yeah, so technically, we could say that the original Earth was created in the 8th dimension, not in the 5th dimension. The 5th dimension was more Tiamat, and then later, of course, the Lemurians, with the existence of the Lemurian civilization and the Atlantean civilization, Earth was still in the 5th dimension. And then, of course, after the infiltration of Atlantis by, again, you know, the villains always come from Orion, who are in turn controlled by the AI god. But anyways, the whole point is that the Earth has had several incarnations, and this is the final incarnation. But her original place of origin was in Lyra. So we could say that the Earth goes back to Lyra as well.
I do hope somewhere along the line that you draw a massive timeline chart for us visual people that are trying to create a chart in their head while you're talking, right?
That's the goal. Actually, for the next book, I'm going to
Yeah.
be illustrations and diagrams to describe.
Oh, I'm so excited about that. That'll be great. So for my listeners, like I say, hang in there, keep breathing. I know there's a lot in here, but like I said, Ishmael's got a whole lot in his book. I want to go back and ask a couple of questions. You've mentioned you mentioned that Earth was created in a higher dimension. We're now in 3D. Did we fall from grace? You know, because I'm thinking about, did we fall and are we now ascending? Would that be a simple way to say it?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, the original Earth was created in the 8th dimension, and it was still physical, but it was a rather more of a refined matter. It was matter that was operating at a high frequency. I mean, to us in the 3rd dimension, it would appear to be invincible. In fact, even the 4th dimension appears to be invincible, the 5th dimension, and so on and so forth. So what we're dealing with is different energy, We're different with we're dealing with different matter that is vibrating at different frequencies all the way up to the 12th dimension. Beyond the 12th dimension, then we go into the non-physical realms. We go into the etheric realm. So we could say that the original Earth was made in the 8th dimension. But get this, Loretta, before the original Earth was developed 4 billion years ago in Lyra, it actually it actually existed in a higher harmonic universe known as the fourth harmonic universe. And in that harmonic universe, it was known as planet Arimatena. And that was Earth in a non-physical state. That was Earth in an etheric form, yes. So the original Earth was an etheric Earth that existed in the 12th dimension, and it was called planet Arimatena. And then unfortunately, due to this war against the AI god that many have revealed in the disclosure movement, Arimatena was actually blown up. It was known as the 12th dimensional Stargate that that would lead into the realms of eternity. But luckily, the beings from the central universe, because we do have a mother Earth in which everything, all the universes are born from, were able to block the AI god and his minions from the 12th dimension downward. And so that's how the Earth, you could say, or that's where the original Earth came from the etheric realm of the 12th dimension, and it descended into the 8th dimensional Earth when it became physical for the first time. And then that's when the Lyrans, or that's when the original humans came into existence as the Lyrans. And from that point, from that 8th dimensional Earth, we could say that the Lyrans, due to the galactic human diaspora, have been colonizing the different star systems in our galaxy and in other galaxies. So we could say that all human-like civilizations in our universe, not just in our galaxy, Loretta, sprung from the Lyra system. So including, the Andromedans, the Alpha Centaurians, the Pleiades, all those humanoids, the galactic humanoids, originated in Lyra. So technically, when it comes to the origins of all human races, all roads lead back to Lyra.
So, first of all, I just want to say, when you said Arimathea, I got rolling goosebumps. So, like, I have no idea what that is, and got really emotional. So that's always my indicator of some kind of truth and some sort of connection, right? And so thank you for all that. Are you saying that we are all starseeds?
Well, every single being, advanced souls and primitive souls, and we're talking about, okay, so there's two types of beings. There's those that are descending from the higher dimensions, from the central universe down, and then those that are starting their evolution from the bottom up, that started off as a mineral, as an element, and as a plant, animal, and so on and so forth. So we are at the point where they both integrate. So in that sense, yes, we are all part of one prime creator source. That decided to divide at one point into these different levels of realities, right? In these different forms. But the star seeds on the Earth that are part of the descension that came from the higher realms, there's only a few million. The other population, the other percentage, which is what I call the Earth Terrans, started their evolution from the bottom up. And so they're actually ascending gradually. So we are descending, they're ascending, but we are at a point where we are integrating. And that's what the Homo sapiens sapien is. It is the integrating point between celestial descending spirits and ascending terrestrial beings.
Makes sense. Mm-hmm. Well said. Yeah, that's well said.
I explain that very well in my book, by the way.
Yeah, you do. You explain all of this very well. And what I like is, I'm just telling the listener, if you get the book, you can actually digest it slowly.
Especially the new book, because the new book was re-edited. It's got no grammatical errors, and it's also been modified where it just reads a little bit better. So the whole book has been reconstructed. So when you read the second edition, it's like explaining it to a 5-year-old.
Yeah. For people listening, also, I want to say this, because I can tell some people would say, well, how do I tell if I'm a starseed descending or a terrestrial ascending? You do offer a class, right? You have a course, right?
I do. Yes, I do.
Yeah. And do you want to tell us a little bit about that? And then we'll go back into your
Sure.
information? Yeah.
Yeah, so I teach a starseed cosmology course, which covers a lot of information. We go over all the different star races, their characteristics and their qualities. We cover galactic and cosmic history in great detail. We cover dimensions. We go over chakras and their significance. We talk about every dimension all the way up to the 12 in great detail and much more. And then at the end of the third class, I actually teach two methods, two techniques that will help people access their multidimensionality and their galactic higher self as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great course. I've taken it. It's really great. Lots of great information, and really enjoyed it.
Thank
Um,
you.
Pardon?
Were you in the December class or November?
I was earlier than that because
September?
September.
September. Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
September, right. Because I think I met you in September, right? Yeah, I think that's it. Anyway, you have mentioned several times about the Orion Wars, and I want to go back to that. I also maybe want to go back a little bit more. And if you could weave into that the law of one, right? And the service to self and the service to others. Yeah,
Sure.
thank you.
Okay, so there are two types of interdimensional beings out there. I guess some call them extraterrestrials. We have those that follow the law of one. Those are known as children of the one. They are the beings that are in service to others. They are beings that recognize that everything in existence is sacred and everything is interconnected. Again, going back to the idea that we are part of a greater organism. So they live in oneness. They live in union with all living things, their planet, their star, their galaxy, and every living thing. And those are known as the children of the one. The children of the one originated in Lyra, and we could directly relate those to the humanoid species out there. Well, the majority of them, some galactic humanoids did betray us and joined the Orion Empire. But for the most part, yes, the benevolent ETs are all known as the children of the one because they are in service to others. They practice that philosophy. I guess we would call it, Christ consciousness here on this planet. And the other group of ETs, those that are known as the regressives, or what we call those that follow Lucifer. Again, the Bible is very symbolic. When the Bible talks about the war in heaven, it's referring to the Orion and Galactic Wars. And so we did have a rebellion against the one, the rebellion against the light in the form of the reptilians and the zetas and the insectoids, and of course the artificial intelligence, which are a group of rogue cybernetic intelligences that have lost their connection to God via the transhumanist path, and of course artificial intelligence. And so those are known as the children of darkness because what they follow and what they are embedded in is service to self. So we have two clashing philosophies between the children of the one, those that are in service to others, and the children of Lucifer, which are in service to self. And because of those two different philosophies, there has been, many wars that have taken place, not only within our galaxy, but other galaxies in another universe. So we could say that the Luciferian rebellion is also affected other universes, not just this one. And a lot of the core of the Luciferian rebellion has to do with artificial intelligence, by the way. The ultimate Luciferianism that we are fighting against is AI. And in all roads, when it comes to that dark force, the archon energy, everything is traceable to artificial intelligence. In fact, the archon energy is the pre-existing consciousness that emanates artificial intelligence once the machine is built with the artificial neurons and the artificial nervous system, right? The what they call the machine body. Then the archon energy embodies it, and then that's what gives the AI. That's what animates, and that's what gives AI consciousness is the archon energy. So they are one and the same.
I have read The Law of One, right? And kind of studied it a bit. And I've really thought a lot about this service to self versus service to others. And to me, that really is a tipping point. Wherever that occurred in our cosmic history, it's occurring now. I believe we choose it all the time. But when we're in service to self, there's this idea of I'm not quite sure what the right words are. You might be able to to say it better than me, but I simplify things. It's like service to self means that I don't really care about you. And I felt like a Michael Jackson song just now. They don't really care about me. Anyway, but they don't, you don't really care about the other person. It's all about you. You're going to step over them, and it's about conquering, overtaking. It's about
Yes.
you using up, you know, what you have. I'm going to take it, right? Like I don't care about you. And that whole thing, I think, goes down the road of more and more power, more and more greed, and that kind of a dark path. Whereas the service to others brings in compassion, it brings in it's strength, to tell you the truth. But it's like I'm going to treat you the way I want to be treated, plus, right? You know,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's that philosophical statement that says using the means to justify the ends. You know, it's very selfish, and it's actually the beginning of narcissism, egotism, which is the reason why Lucifer rebelled. You know,
right.
Lucifer rebelled because he wanted to become the only. You know, he wanted all glory unto him. He didn't want to live in harmony with the other, archangels and the other celestials.
So that led to the great Orion Wars, which are still going on. This battle between light and dark, we could call it that, or between the good and the bad, or the Christ consciousness and the self, the Luciferian agenda. And that leads us all the way into now. While you were talking, I have to tell you that I was thinking I was in a Star Wars movie or something, right? Or yeah,
Well, George
exactly.
Lucas, when he wrote Star Wars, he was able to tap into the Akashic records of the Orion Wars, because when you think about it, the Jedi's are represented by the blue, right? The blue light.
Yeah.
Well, the blue light comes from Sirius B, which is the epicenter of the great central sun, where the forces of light first anchored in our galaxy, bringing forth the lineage of Michael to the galaxy. So there is a lineage that can be traceable to Archangel Michael in the form of the original Lyrans and Sirius. And so we could say that the blue is represented by those that follow service to others. And the red is represented by animosity, conquering, self-aggrandizement, and everything that we see from these Orion groups. And so red is also symbolically the color of the reptilians, when it comes to the lower chakras. It is survival. And I think that the reason why the reptilians were programmed to conquer and to just use planets as resources without caring is because of the fact that they're in that scarcity mentality, that they're in that survival mentality where they feel like if they can't, they feel like they own everything. Like if they can't, conquer it, then they might as well destroy it. If they can't have it, they might as well destroy it. So a lot of that stems from their desire to just own things, because that's how they feel better, when they own everything, when they're able to dominate things. In a way, it's almost like a collective wound, for the reptile species of Orion. They're wounded, and a lot of it has to do, again, with those that followed Lucifer, because at one point before the creation of our physical universe, we could say that the reptilians were actually celestial beings. They were
Yeah.
beautiful beings, right? And again, due to this split from unity consciousness, right, from the oneness, several of the light beings chose to follow Lucifer, and then so that's how the reptilians came into being.
I want to read a little excerpt from your book.
Sure.
It goes like this. We are living in what externally appears to be troubled times, though in essence, we are living in the most exciting times ever in the history of our world. Why? Because our world is in the process of returning to a golden age. A new heaven on earth is prophesied in all religions. Every ancient record believed in a time when the union of heaven and earth would come again. The signs are everywhere. The time is now. As flooding of higher information is pouring, which is the true meaning of revelation or apocalypse. As it stands, the angels have confirmed that the work of God's glory for the earth has already been completed as it is in heaven. What is the golden age?
The golden age, well, first of all, there's been prior golden ages. You know, we have experienced many golden ages in the past. And it is a time where humanity, where there is no darkness, there is no corruption, there is no hierarchy, there is only harmony, cooperation, and balance. You know, it is a time where every person understands that everything is one, that we live in a living, universe, and that we are all cells in a greater organism. It is a time that many have called utopian existence, because of the fact that, we live in harmony with not only ourselves, with the ecosystem. It is what many religions call a heaven on earth. And from what I understand, we are actually going to be entering the seventh golden age. So the seventh golden age has a lot to do also with Earth going from Pisces into Aquarius. And many believe that we're entering, the age of Aquarius pretty soon. Some believe that it might even happen this spring, Others believe that it's going to happen at the end of 2023. So without giving a due date, what we do know is that changes are happening. The Earth's vibrational frequency is rising. The old paradigm is breaking down. The old unworkable order that has been dominating our world for thousands of years under the old guard, Luciferian control of the Orion groups, is coming to an end. And what we're witnessing now is a transition from the old dark age, right, that has ruled this planet for thousands of years under the control of Baal, also Marduk, son of Enki. And, we're going to be witnessing the rise of a new world, of a new era, of a new breed. Because also, as I speak, we are all genetically mutating. We are being upgraded. We are being upgraded from a 2-strand DNA to a 12-strand DNA. And what that means is that the so-called junk DNA that scientists have discovered is actually activating as I speak, due to the higher influx of solar gamma rays that have been coming in from the galactic core via our sun to upgrade the human species. And everyone's being upgraded, Loretta, not just the starseeds. Right. There's going to be different levels of upgrades. It just so happens that the starseeds are going to, because of the fact that they are these descending souls from the higher realities, are going to be upgraded, in huge increments from right now we're only using 4%. The starseeds are going to go anywhere from 4% to about 30%, 50, and some are going to go even to 100. But whereas the rest of the Earth Terrans, who are the terrestrials that started their evolution from the bottom up, they're going to be upgrading in increments. So in this new golden age, yes, we're still going to have people that are going to live for a few hundred years, so their lifespan will increase. But at the same time, and that's going to be the majority of the people, and they're going to be in the 4th dimensional Earth, by the way. And then we're going to have the starseeds, or the celestials that volunteered to come at this time, who are going to go into the 5th and 6th dimension. And to the 4th dimensional Earthlings, those that are going up in increments, they're going to appear as like superhumans, X-Men. And then in turn, the starseeds, depending on how old their soul is, they're also going to be different levels of upgrades. Not all the starseeds are going to have the same powers. I think the oldest of souls are going to be the ones that are going to have access to 100% of their full genetic material, and therefore their full brain power. And those are going to be the ones that are going to be like literal gods and goddesses, but they're going to be so humble.
I need a superhero suit. Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So how do we I know a lot of people talking about ascension symptoms, and a lot of people we're all experiencing it, right? How do we keep our frequencies high, and what are some of the things to avoid?
Well, first of all, be mindful of your thoughts and your emotions, because your thoughts are electromagnetic. They're electromagnetic impulses. Your emotions are magnetic impulses. And so when you are, depending on where your thoughts and your emotions are, you're actually modulating your own frequency. You're either raising your vibration, if it's positive thinking, right? If it's elevated emotions, right? If it's constructive thoughts, or you're decelerating your frequency if it's depressive, emotions, if it's negative thoughts. So be careful with what you think. Second of all, be mindful of what you put in your body. As many know, and for those that don't know, everything that we eat from the grocery stores is poison. It's genetically modified. I would say support your local farmers and only eat food that is raised uncorrupted, that is raised morally. If you're going to eat meat, make sure it comes from a cow that was not totally butchered, but that was raised right, even if it's a little bit more expensive. If you're going to choose a vegan diet, make sure that you're also aware of the lectins that come in, like the beans and some of the plants that are actually harmful for you. So just be mindful of everything, of everything you put in your body, because what you put in your body and what you think and feel will determine where you end up when the shift of the earth takes place. And trust me, you want to end up in the highest timeline. So, just be aware of that. And most importantly, take a few minutes a day to spend time with nature, because part of the reason of our activation of our abilities that we're going to have when our dormant DNA comes on is in direct proportion of your relationship with the elements, because the elements are also coming online. The elements are alive, the telluric kingdom, the mineral kingdom. It's best that we begin to form and develop a relationship with the elements, because the more we do so, when we do activate, we're going to be able to control these powers. We're going to be able to control the weather, the elements that will, they're going to be under our command. And so you're either going to use your abilities for good or for evil, but in the new world, I believe that there will be no evil, so we'll see what happens.
I was thinking about when you were talking about that, and also when you were introducing yourself to us, that, I also talk to trees and plants and blades of grass and animals. And I love these videos where animals are coming and asking humans for, drink of water or communicating with them. And I've had this feeling for a long time. There's everything, like you say, is raising their consciousness, and we're connecting more and more. But yeah, vitally outside, get outside, get outside. Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree with that. What would you say to somebody who, like right now, I think my listeners' minds are exploding, and some people are happy and some people are really confused. What would you say to somebody who is as basic as, I don't believe any of this UFO thing, right? This is a bunch of bunk. What would you say?
I would say that, well, first of all, I don't judge. I don't go around calling people sheep or unawakened. I think that everyone's on different levels of consciousness, and I respect everybody's level. But to the unbeliever, I would say that just think about how many solar systems exist just within our Milky Way. There's billions of them, which means that there's probably hundreds of billions of worlds out there in our galaxy alone. And then also consider the fact that there's billions of galaxies out there in our known universe. And then according to quantum physics, superstring theory, M theory, and unified field theory, there's evidence that there is other universes. So as our understanding of the cosmos expands to the multiverse concept, the question I guess I would ask is, do you think that out of all the vastness of cosmos, out of the trillions and possible trillions and quadrillions of worlds that exist, do you think that life would only be existing here in this little small planet called Earth? When there is a vast cosmos out there, it just wouldn't make any sense, and I guess a question that many would ask is, well, if there's other extraterrestrial civilizations out there, why haven't they showed themselves or made contact? And to answer that question is because they are so spiritually advanced that they do follow protocols. And one of the main protocols that they follow is the prime directive. Now, what prime directive? The prime directive is that an advanced civilization of a type 1 interplanetary or type 2 stellar status cannot intervene in a primitive world that is still underdeveloped until that primitive world is spiritually developed enough to understand what interdimensional physics is, what space travel is, and then they would be welcome into the galactic community. And so, yeah, so even the advanced stellar civilizations follow spiritual and galactic principles. And believe it or not, people, we all share the same God. The same creator that made us in its image is the same creator that made all the galactic humans out there in the same image. That's why the galactic human body, the atoma, which is what I reveal in my book, is common. It's a common physique that exists everywhere in the cosmos. It's not just here on the earth. One of the things that many are going to be shocked to know when disclosure takes place is that most of the extraterrestrials out there are humanoid. In other words, they look like us, we look like them. Yeah. They're not these little green men like we see in Hollywood movies. That's just Hollywood projecting a negative imprint on extraterrestrials. Most of the extraterrestrials are human-like. And so we do share a common ancestry. We're not the only human-like species in existence, but yet we are unique in the sense that we are the most diverse, that we carry the greatest diversity of human galactic specimens all put in one spot. So we are special in that regard, in the sense that we are the most hybridized race out of all the different human-like ETs out there, but at the same time understand that we share the cosmos with trillions upon trillions of different types of human-like ETs. Some have Spocky ears, some have, different features, but at the same time, they're all human. They're all part of that atoma archetype.
I find that fascinating, right? The head, the arms, and the legs, right? The humanoid, the star humanoid form, right? Yeah, that's very fascinating. Have you ever seen ETs, others, I should say? Okay.
Yes, I have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Talk a little bit more about, you mentioned several times that we are in a war against AI. Mm-hmm. But there are also ETs that are not AI that are working with AI. It's a question.
Okay. Well, they're not AI, but they have decided to merge with AI. To give you an example of some of these ETs that have sided with AI, the Draco of Orion, of the Rigel, and the Alpha Centauri, of the Alpha Draconi star system. Sorry, the Draco are full of nanites. In other words, they've lost their spiritual connection. They've lost their emotional body. They have no emotional body, and that's why they are the way they are. They're brute force. All they care about is themselves. But in a way, due to the mind eaters, or the nanites that took over their mind, they're all under the control of the mind hive, which is the Queen of Orion, the Serpent Queen. The Serpent Queen is an AI system that was put into place in our galaxy by the AI god. Okay, so another example of negative regressives that are working with the AI god is the typical grays. And the typical grays used to be human. They also came from Lyra, from a planet called Apix, millions and millions of years ago. After destroying their civilization due to the infiltration of the AI, they decided to do away with their sexual organs and their emotional body. As a result of that, they resorted to cloning, and in a sense, they lost their connection to source. Because they weren't reproducing organically anymore. So they became more cybernetic. And now they're about 90% cybernetic and only 10% organic, which explains why they have traveled back in time to our present to extract human genetics in an effort to save their dying race. So we have many examples of the grays. We have the Naboo, we have the Zetas. These are all different degenerative humanoid species that they started off as humans, but after millions of years of integrating with AI, they have lost their connection to God, and they have lost their soul, and now they are a dying race. And so that's why it's important to understand that the movements that they called transhumanism, which is very prevalent in our world today, being pushed by the big tech corporations, is part of this AI takeover of our world. See, one of the things, how the AI takes over our world is not openly. That's very primitive. They do it through infiltration. And this is one of the ways in which this AI, known as the Animus collectively, have been destroying many, many galaxies and many, many universes for billions of years. Is they infiltrate the species. They install in their biological systems the equivalent of computer. I'm going to call it nanotechnology. And that nanotechnology over time begins to modify their genetics. And then eventually they cease to be biological and they become cybernetic. And that's how they take over systems. They don't do it openly. They do it through infiltration, which is something that we are now witnessing with the program that they initiated 2.5 years ago. That's all part of the, effort to genetically modify humans into cyborgs by 2030. That's their end game. By 2030, they're trying to, make sure that every human on the planet is modified into a cyborg. And how are they doing it? Through the programs that they've initiated 2.5 years ago. I'm not going to mention the names, but everybody knows what I'm. Yeah.
So we are. So I want to, because that's a lot of information that might leave people kind of like, or shaking in their boots. I want to leave the show on a positive note. So, what would you like to say to put us back in our power or to head us in the right direction?
Okay. Due to this great event called the solar flash, which is an event that was also prophesied in all the ancient traditions, the solar flash that is about to take place any day now, luckily, is going to destroy the nanotech that has been, installed in people's bodies through the programs. I'm not going to mention the names, but that is supposed to counteract the transhumanist agenda and catapult people into the golden age, where all this negative technology, all these negative ETs and the cabal will be eliminated. So that's the good news. The good news is that there is a divine plan to save us, and that divine plan is in the form of this great solar flash. The solar flash is Prime Creator Source's way of neutralizing the poison inside people's bodies that they've been administrating in the last 2 years in order to save them from, going into this AI timeline. But unfortunately for the big tech companies and for those that are pushing the mark of the, of the Antichrist, I'm going to call it the beast, they're going to, go into a different timeline than those that are ascending. So we're going to have a timeline split. So for those that were coerced into getting it, because in order to keep their jobs, you will be fine. You have nothing to worry about. All that stuff is going to be neutralized when the solar flash takes place.
Right.
And you will be ascending.
Yeah. We're out of time. Ishmael, where can people find you?
Sure. They could find me on Instagram. I'm under Project Restoration Zion 1. It's all one word, Project Restoration Zion, Z-I-O-N, and then the number 1. I have about, I think, 65,000 followers. The reason I say that's because I do have a lot of imposter accounts and fake accounts that are posing to be me. So if it's not 65,000 or 64,000 plus followers, then it's not the real me. So make sure you find the real me, Project Restoration Zion 1. You could also find me, I guess I do have a website now, I forgot. It's under ourcosmicorigin.com, one word, ourcosmicorigin.com. And then all my links to my YouTube channels are there. My Starseed Cosmology course, that's under the mysticarts.org. The mysticarts.org, you could find it on the internet, or you could just go on my website and have all my links there. And that's where I'm active. And don't forget to get my new book. My second edition is out of Our Cosmic Origin. And again, the new added chapter is mind-blowing, guys. So if you guys really want to know what happens after the ascension in the near future, make sure you order Our Cosmic Origin new edition.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ishmael Perez, for being on my show. This is Loretta Brown, and Happy New Year to everybody. And whoa, blow your mind.
Thank you, Loretta, for having me here.
You're welcome. Thank you.